All right, Philomena, thank you very much for the warm introduction again. Thanks to everyone for joining us again. This is our third and final session in our AI and remodeling webinar series. And up to this point, we've covered how AI is impacting design and operations inside your remodeling businesses. Today, we're going to shift to the growth side of the equation, sales and marketing. And I don't mean this from a hype perspective, but more from a practical perspective. How remodelers are using AI to respond faster, to follow up better, and to turn existing demand into real revenue without burning out their teams. The session is about leverage. Design helps sell the vision, operations protect your margin, and sales and marketing keep the pipeline healthy. What we'll focus on today is how AI helps remodelers do the basics better, faster response times, more consistent follow up, clearer communication, because that's where most deals are actually won or lost. If the first two sessions were about building a better project, this one is about building a more predictable business. And so today we're really talking about saving time, improving follow up, closing more jobs, not replacing your AI team. AI is here to help your team do things quicker, to be more consistent, and to help you focus more on what's important. This is where most remodelers feel stretched thin. I really feel, based on the feedback I consistently get, marketing can feel chaotic. Sales tends to feel reactive. AI will help you create more structure without adding more headcount to your business. And so, many remodeling businesses struggle with too many tasks and too little time, overwhelm in your teams, sales reps and marketing teams juggling prospect outreach, juggling all those sales follow-ups after you've put that contract out there, maybe content creation that you feel overwhelmed in, monitoring all your different campaigns, and then all those client communications, and all while trying to keep all of your projects on track as well. And so, as we know, I felt this when I was in the business. Remodelers just wear too many hats, owner, estimator, salesperson, marketer, on it goes. We read that in the E-Myth by Michael Gerber, one of the best books out there, if you haven't read that yet. And so, in this regard, AI isn't about doing more, it's about doing less manual work. In other words, AI helps absorb some of that repetitive work that humans should be doing anyways. You're trying to lighten your load in a smart way, working smarter, not harder, as I've mentioned. And so when it comes to customer expectations, most of our modern day clients right now, they expect that fast, personalized responses, and they often want those instantly. Chat bots, things like that, they're expecting that reply. Those form fills, they think you're just watching your email all day waiting for those to come in. They want that information from you 24/7 with tailored recommendations and seamless communication across multiple channels. Personalization in your follow up now is just assumed. It's not considered impressive anymore. Homeowners expect fast replies because they're typically submitting 3 to 5 forms at once. They're going through several websites, submitting those forms, and then that remodeler designer that responds the quickest is probably gonna win that job. They're gonna at least get the chance to have a consult with that customer. That first response really sets the tone for trust as well. That's what we call speed to lead in sales and marketing. It's that speed that often wins the job before price even becomes a consideration. Why does efficiency equal growth? When teams are bogged down by repetitive tasks, opportunities are missed, and then potential revenue is slipping away. Automating repetitive workflows and using AI to make smarter decisions frees up time so that you can focus on the higher impact activities, nurturing leads, closing deals, and building those client relationships. Growth is going to come from freeing up that time to focus more on revenue producing conversations. In other words, growth doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing better. In this regard, AI creates leverage, not shortcuts. And so when we think about, what is AI in sales and marketing, AI at its core, in sales and marketing, it helps you follow up faster, it helps you communicate better, and it helps you make smarter decisions. It does this by analyzing data and patterns at scale. We've talked about how good it is at analyzing trends and looking for things that might be trending the right way, maybe trending the wrong way. And so AI doesn't just report, it recommends actions after it recognizes that data and those trends. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Think of AI as an assistant. It's not a replacement for you. It's just going to help you work smarter and not harder and help you speed up some of those processes. And so when you look at the simple definition of what AI is, artificial intelligence, it's software that can analyze data, learn patterns, and make decisions or recommendations, helping teams work faster and smarter. That's it. Again, think of AI as your digital assistant for all those repetitive or data heavy tasks. And so there are some key types of AI tools. We've talked about several of them in our webinar series here. AI tools generally fall into a few key categories, each designed to save time, reduce manual effort, and improve results. Remember that AI shows up differently depending on the task. My advice is to pick a category or aspect of your business that's tied closely to revenue first. This is where AI can help make an impact for you immediately. There's so many categories that you need to probably look at. Where can AI help you? Different tools to use. So think about it in terms of what's going to have the biggest impact. And that typically is somewhere that some category that is related to revenue. And so the first type of tool for AI is automation. AI automates repetitive tasks like emails, follow-ups, chat responses, all that sort of thing. So think of automation as your assistant who never forgets anything. We can all use one of those, right? Here it is. We're serving it up to you on a platter. AI will never forget anything. May not be perfect, and I can attest that it isn't, but AI will help you ensure that nothing slips through the cracks, meaning that consistency beats heroics every day. And so here's an example of a workflow. This is one of ours where we just, we place a contact that's reached out to us. They want to have a call with us. And so we place them into this discovery call workflow. This is an example of not letting anything slip through the cracks because we're letting automation handle it. I can't possibly keep up with all this. My sales assistant can't. My marketing assistant. We got 3 people that can all follow this. All we have to do is follow it. We don't have to do it. This is an example of a booking workflow. And so what this workflow consists of in these screenshots, they get stacked on top of each other. It's kind of a long workflow, but I split it into 2 screenshots to show you here. Someone sets a simple appointment, but then after that, I have 9 different steps that happen, and that's going to include emails and texts that go to the person that set the appointment. But it's also going to send me automated reminders too, letting me know when that appointment is. Is it coming up in an hour? Do I need to call that person a quick call just to remind them, make sure we're still on? All this is handled via automation, and that's what you guys need. That's what every business needs, pretty much every business. It just makes things so much easier. Again, working smarter, not harder. And then here's another example. This is a review campaign for one of our clients. Again, this is a really long workflow, and so I've separated into 3 side-by-side screenshots. This is an automated workflow. This is one to help one of our clients reach out to their customer list in order to get more reviews for their company. We all know reviews are the backbone of any business, but you typically ask once, and then if they don't leave one for you, you forget, or you kind of feel like, oh, am I intruding on their day? Or, just let automation handle it. It takes away all the guilt. And you don't have to think about it because most people are busy. They don't not want to leave you a review. They just get busy with school and dinner and helping with homework. And maybe the dog's thrown up in the corner now. and everyone's working two jobs nowadays, and you just got so much going on. People just forget. It's not they didn't have a good experience with you or don't want to leave some great feedback for you online. They just forget. And so what you can do is let automation handle that for you. And so, when you look at all these steps here, over a dozen steps, you want to try to remember every one of these steps, remember to do it, and then to actually do it. Do you want to do that, or would you rather let AI handle the automation while you work smarter versus harder, while you focus on other aspects of your business? And just to give you a success story, we've ran review campaigns like this before, exactly like the ones you see in a screenshot. And we have gotten 24 reviews within a 24-hour period for our clients just by reaching out. That, it's again, people did not want to leave you a review. They just forgot. And then they got these texts, they got these emails in a measured pace, not flooding their inbox or anything like that. And it worked, right? 24, who would like 24 reviews in a 24-hour period? I think probably everyone on this call, including me. That'd be great. But reviews are hard to get. Automation can help you. And I'll also say, not coincidentally, the client that I'm thinking of that hit that 24 reviews in a 24-hour period, they have hit new revenue highs for the past 3 years running. So these kind of actions do have a positive effect. I know there's some people out there like, oh, I don't want to ask for a review. If people want to leave me a review, they will. I say let go of that old archaic thinking, because that's not the way the world works anymore. You used to be able to, shake hands and have a deal. You used to be able to ask for a review, get it. People are just so busy now. They've got so many things going on now that they just need those reminders. And so, if they don't want those reminders, they'll tell you, they'll unsubscribe from your email, or, they'll let you know when you call them, hey, I'm just not going to leave you a review. You're not going to hear that. Not even one times out of 100, I'm guessing. Everyone on here is doing great work. You are experts in your field. So don't get in your own head. Let automation work for you, and I guarantee that you will see better results. The second type of AI tool is one that we can use for predictive analytics. And so this is basically using historical data to forecast outcomes and help you kind of prioritize opportunities. AI helps prioritize who to call first. In other words, which opportunities might be more likely to convert. It forecasts outcomes based on past behavior. So this is going to allow you and your sales team to focus energy where jobs are most likely to close. Those follow-ups that are ghosting you, you're just not getting anything from them, no response. They're not answering the phone. Versus those customers that say, "Oh yeah, hey, I need to look at that proposal again. Sorry, I've just gotten busy." Whatever. You can look at all the things going on in those conversations, in all of your follow-ups, and say, hey, this one over here might not be as worth it, but this one just seems like they've forgotten. And so you need to reach out to them again. And so that's what we're talking about, is recognizing those patterns and determining priorities from there. And so here's just a simple example of predictive AI using Google. You guys have probably seen search results like these on Google, right? This is called Google Suggest, which translates to Google knowing what you're looking for as a consumer, and then it gives you the most popular options related to what you're typing in. So it's automatically suggesting the best options for you in case you want to try maybe a more targeted keyword. You can see all the different variations you might have in your mind, the keyword you wanted to use, but now with these suggestions, you can go, ooh, this is really what I was looking for. I'll pick that one. That's AI at its best with Google. And then here's an example of predictive AI in predicting which leads are stronger versus the weaker leads. This is our CRM. We use Go High Level. I think there's some people out there that are using Go High Level. Any CRM works. Most CRMs have predictive AI built into it. But we manage all of our contacts through here. We also help clients run their own CRM campaigns from here. Each of our clients gets their own built-in CRM, so we can do all this for them. They don't have to worry about it. They hire us to do marketing. We also handle all that sales follow-up and run those campaigns for them too. AI is really, really popular in marketing circles. It's used in over 190 countries. So it really is one of the most popular CRMs out there. It's built by a marketer for marketers. And so that's why we all gravitate to it because we know what we need as marketing tools. So it's one to check out. It really does have an insane amount of capabilities. And they also take suggestions. And usually I get an email every month that they've upgraded or incorporated, 6, 8, 10 new things to it. So they're always listening. They're always trying to get better, not stuck in their ways and saying, this is our CRM and this is how it's always been. You can't be like that. But one thing that this CRM can do is it looks at all the activity and context in the CRM, and then it predicts which one of your potential customers is more apt to move forward with that design plan that you put out there for them. It does this by looking at all their activity, maybe even analyzing communications and frequency of communications. It can look at all your emails because it's all within the platform, right? You don't have to pull anything in, upload anything. It allows the CRM and you to just understand who is more focused on moving forward so that you can get that potential customer. You can give them more of your time. You can maybe send them more value via white papers or a blog post that you think might be really relevant to them. Something that really keeps them engaged with you, helps them along. What we're talking about really is kind of more intuition, more guessing in terms of who you should be reaching out to versus who, maybe you shouldn't be spending as much time in. And then one other thing when we talk about all this outreach, we want personalization. We want to be able to deliver tailored experiences for customers across emails, across websites, landing pages, but we want to do it in a way that lets you sound personal, but while also doing it at scale. So it's not robotic. It's just more relevant. Personalized doesn't have to mean manual anymore. You can type up however many email options and split tests, A/B versions you want that sound genuine. They're not just an AI email, but it does sound more personalized. And then, of course, you can also add in your personalization for a particular customer that you want to, reach back out to see if they're ready to move forward. You can do manually emails, text, things like that. That's something that is something you directly talked about with them, so that it does have some extra personalization to it. Here's a video example of letting AI customize a landing page for you. I want to just kind of push play here and let you see this in action. There are all kinds of filters you can go through here. On this left sidebar, we're looking at, the type of web page we want. We're looking at what industry you're in. What it's doing here is going to build you a whole landing page via AI. This is pretty wild. You put in all these filters, you check and the box on what you want, and then you can add in certain elements like images, forms, calls to action, really, whatever you want. Then you can modify the text in any way you want. You can change the colors of buttons. You can swap out images. Really, the sky's the limit here. I mean, this, you saw this. This is less than a minute here, and it's built this landing page for you. I'm not saying it's perfect. I have developers on staff, so we build out our own. But this is a way for you guys that maybe don't have a full marketing team, 20 people on your marketing team working for you. This is a way that you can build something like this and go high level. You can do it all in less than 2 minutes. That's pretty impressive. Probably other builder trend I know is pretty built out. I'm not sure about job treaded, but there's several out there that will have these kind of capabilities. There's all kinds of landing page builders, but it's also nice just having all your tools in one platform as well. That way you're not trying to juggle, 10 different software platforms. And so let's move on to content creation. I know this is something that really can help a lot of remodelers and designers, builders out there, just helping you generate more blog posts, more social content for your social media channels, more ad copy, for any PPC ads you're doing, Facebook ads. Even those email campaigns, you can have it generate a whole series of emails, and then you can go in with that touch of personalization and say, "Oh, I want to say this instead." But if you can put that into ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or whatever, and say, create a 5 email series for me on this, and that. It can do that. It's going to do it super quick. It's not going to replace your expertise. but it will get you some really good drafts whipped up that then you can now personalize. And so, really, what it's doing, it's helping you get that content out of your own head and onto the page faster. You're not stuck with that blank paper syndrome where you just don't know where to get started. And so, I like to say that AI handles the drafts and then humans refine it into that final product. So here's an example of content creation through ChatGPT. This is to write a blog post for you. Notice the title of what we wanted written. The prompt wasn't write a blog on roofing. That's what a lot of people are doing now. This very simple prompts. Remember, I told you last time, garbage in equals garbage out. Instead, we were detailed in our prompt. Look how long this prompt is here on the top. We typed in, write a blog post on shingle roof repair in Long Beach, California, including common issues and solutions. That's the title that we put in. So now it knows where to go with that. And that's just the title. And then we typed in 3 more specific, shorter paragraphs on what we wanted in the blog post. And so that's going to give you a much better final product. This is really an example of AI rewarding you for clarity. There's a lot that you can put in to get better results, and that's really the key. One of the biggest takeaways you can come away with when it comes to content creation is the better your inputs, the more detailed they are, the better that product's going to be. Think of it spending 5 minutes on that prompt, not 30 seconds, but 5 minutes, and then you get a much better output from it. And so here's 4 ways that I've went through how you can use AI for sales automation and some marketing. Remember though, you don't need all of these tools right now. Most businesses start with just one, and then you eventually add on more tools as you get more and more comfortable. And so now I want to kind of shift into how AI can improve efficiency for you as well. AI does boost efficiency by doing all that busy work faster than any human can do it. And that way your sales and marketing team can focus more on closing deals. AI can help filter the noise from all the opportunities out there, figure out which opportunities actually mean more. And then what this translates to is your sales team can now focus on the warmer conversations happening. That means less chasing, more closing. I think that's something that we can all get on board with, right? And so in sales, one way you can use this is automated lead scoring. AI can identify the most promising prospects so your sales team can focus more on the deals that are likely to close. We know that all, opportunities, all leads that have come in, they're not created equal. And so what AI is going to help you do is flag which ones deserve more immediate attention. This usually means higher close rates, right? When you're actually talking to the folks that actually are showing more engagement. They're showing they want to move forward. They're just not quite ready yet, but at least you've got that engagement. And then those AI-driven CRM insights, AI highlights trends and next steps, and that's going to help you close deals faster as well. It can highlight those next steps instead of you guessing, should I do this? Did I say the wrong thing? Should I have said this? AI is going to be able to be your mentor, your coach, and kind of take some of that guesswork out of your next actions. And so it's going to be able to identify trends, who opened emails, who replied, who actually ends up ghosting you. That's going to allow those next steps to become much more clear for you. And so that's an example of CRMs being more proactive versus reactive. We've talked about proactivity versus reactivity. And then smart scheduling and follow-ups as well. Tools like we use go high level, as well as all the other CRMs out there. They can connect your calendar to an automation. It can send you automatic call invites. It can send you reminders. It can send those to you. It can send those to your prospective customers that you have in that workflow with you. It could send out automated emails with blog posts that you already know kind of fits this type of customer. Say a kitchen remodel versus someone that wants a custom home built through a design build process. And so there's some real world benefits here to that. There's not as much as that back and forth emails going on. A lot of that's just being automated for you. Getting your meetings booked automatically. I know some of you out there are you've got a booking calendar on your website. I love that idea. Obviously, we do, but I think it's great for remodelers too, so that you can allow people to just book that call in advance. And that way, you're not playing phone tag. If you're on a job, you're in a meeting, they're calling from work, and now you're playing phone tag. A lot of times, you guys know this as well as I do, you never end up getting a hold of those people. You never get them on the phone again. And then you're like, oh, that was a bad lead. Wasn't a bad lead. It's just that you didn't get to them quick enough. You didn't answer their phone. You didn't give them an opportunity to use a chat bot. You didn't give them an opportunity to book on the calendar. And now you've lost them. So maybe it was a bad lead. Maybe it was a good lead that just end up getting contacted by, one of your competitors, and they just went down that route. Some people will choose, three bids and go through that whole process. But a lot of people in this kind of frenetic day and age we live in, the first person they have a call with is someone that's really skilled, really articulate, really understands the vision. They may just be like, you know what, I think I found the person already. I don't even need to follow up with those other two people. That's when you don't get a hold of people. That's probably what has happened. It's nice to give them that option to book those meetings automatically, or to have that chat bot so that you can talk to them in real time as quick as possible. And then just having those reminders that are sent to you without manual effort. You're not thinking about, who do I need to call tomorrow? And did I have a follow-up scheduled for today? I can't remember. You don't want to have those kind of question marks in your head. You want to just know that everything's handled for you automatically via CRM automation. And so we were talking about the lead scoring system first. This is one that you should be able to incorporate into your CRM. That's one that, Go High Level has. Basically, you're attributing a scoring system for each one of your potential customers that you're consulting with. And this just helps you stay more focused on the clients that are the more likely to work with you. They're interested, whether they end up working with you or not. At least you're going to have some good engagement and build a relationship, have a good conversation. You can see in this bottom screenshot where I've got circled is 35 points. So like, you give different points for people that actually sit down with a design consult with you, people that actually open your emails and that they're replying to you, things like that. Nothing creepy like following them around the internet or anything like that. Just knowing that, hey, they replied to my email, they're engaged with me. Okay, that person is going to get a few points versus a person that ghosts you, and you're like, well, that way, when you go in and you look at your list of customers, and you're like, well, there's a couple with zero that are not engaging with you at all. They're not replying to any of your emails. They haven't answered any of your phone calls. You're able to tell yourself, hey, maybe this person is just not worth all that time. I'll let automation handle some of that. We'll get them on a long-term email sequence where we just share jobs we're doing, where we share, case studies, projects, new portfolio additions to your website, maybe a new testimonial. You got maybe a video testimonial, things like that you can just share with them, keep them involved, but you don't have to do it manually because it's not working. Those people, have just kind of ghosted you. They'll come around at some point, but in order for them to come around at that later point, you still need to stay in contact with them. You just don't want to use all of your energy to do that. Have that sequence built out that gives them that case study, that white paper, that new video testimonial. They want to see that. They're just not ready to move forward yet. And don't mistake people ghosting you for someone that doesn't want to move forward. That could be the case in some cases, but most likely it's just someone that's just not ready to move forward yet. They're still kicking around the design. Maybe they're juggling finances right now, trying to figure out if they have enough for this. Maybe they're thinking about is mom or dad gonna get hours cut or get a pay cut or lose their job. Economy fears, recession, stocks going down, up, all these things factor in. And so people that generally don't want to work with you will typically, they will unsubscribe. They will tell you, we found someone else to work with, right? You've seen that. If you've not seen that, then you just want to keep them involved in your world and let them know what you have going on. And if they don't want it anymore, they'll unsubscribe. We get unsubscribes, and it's great. I don't want to bug people. If they don't want to see what we're doing out there, the results we're generating, I don't want to bug them with that. And so just remember, though, that people that are ghosting you are not necessarily that person. They just may be busy. Now may not be the time. Maybe they follow up in 6 months. Maybe it becomes a year. But don't make any assumptions here. We all knows what happened when you assume, right? Here's another example of AI driven insights in your CRM. This is the Go High Level AI Assistant. And so in this example, we're using this AI assistant to analyze the workflow and make suggestions on what else might we want to send to this particular prospective customer. Any extra steps or reminders that we might want to add into this workflow. Even, suggesting altered wait times in between steps. We typically wait a week, maybe a few days, but typically a week. We don't want to bombard anyone. Sometimes we only email people once a month. And so maybe your AI assistant says, hey, once a month's not relevant enough. They forget who you are. I know Grant Cardone has a philosophy of, I just email and blast people nonstop. And when people unsubscribe and say, I'm getting this, I'm hearing from you too much, Grant, he's like, success, that's working. I'm not sure I agree with that, but Grant Cardone is very, very successful, nine-figure industry, nine-figure company. So he knows what he's doing. And so you can figure out where you want to be there. I'm on the more conservative end. I am not on the Grant Cardone end, but you can figure out, what is a good frequency for you putting out an email every now and then? What's a good frequency for your automated email newsletter that goes out? Is it once a month, or maybe that's too much? If you have a small company, small client, customer list, maybe you just put out an email newsletter once every quarter, and that's a good start. Once is better, and once a quarter is better than none, right? And so, this might seem basic for some of you. Some of you guys on here, I know, are already, dialed in on your sales follow-up, your email newsletters, things like that. But for those of you that aren't using the CRM or don't use it very much, or you're still tracking things in spreadsheets, tools like this can really be a great guide for you to just kind of start chipping away at becoming more technologically savvy and just starting to get a little better with AI. Just kind of, baby steps, a little bit at a time, learning a new tool, new aspect of that tool. Go High Level can do so many things. You're not going to take it all on, but you can say, hey, I'm going to try an email sequence today. Or I'm just going to try writing an email, period, using the help of AI. Start there and then continually, gradually build one baby step at a time. Here's an example of smart scheduling and follow-up through a Go High Level CRM workflow that specifies the commands in there. So like, what's the trigger command? What actually triggers that workflow to start? Is it the Facebook lead came in? And so, when we run Facebook ads for our clients, when someone clicks on, a Facebook lead and submits that form, it triggers to us, it goes into Go High Level. That becomes what we call the trigger event. And now that workflow is ready to start running, whether that be sending out emails, whether it be sending out text, whether it be internal reminders to you that just says, hey, you got a new Facebook lead. Our clients like that. They want to know, again, speed the lead. You got a Facebook lead. You want to be able to call that person right then and there. You want to be the first one because that's going to give you the advantage over your competitors, that lead reminder. And so this is what we call smart scheduling. It's really the when and where do you put reminders in your workflow? What triggers all those steps? And then not only having those reminders go to your potential customers that have submitted that form or that inquiry or that website form. This works the same with a website form. You can trigger as soon as you get a website form, it's going to your email, might be going to one of your generic email boxes. I know a lot of you have office ad and info ad, things like that. This is in your form, so it's not on your website. So I'd put your email in, or your marketing manager, office manager, so that it's going straight to them and you don't have to check that generic box once a day, because that's probably all you're going to do, right? But better even than that is to have it trigger in that workflow so that you've just got that website form. And not only is it going to trigger a reminder to you, hey, Bob, you got a new website form inquiry from your website, but it also can go ahead and trigger an immediate text or email response to that prospective customer. They just submitted the form, and now they're going on to the competitor websites to submit a form over there as well, and they've already gotten a reply from you. And they're like, oh, well, wow, that's great. And then because you got an email reminder as part of that workflow as well, you're probably calling them. So who's going to win in that situation? The person that checks their generic email box at the end of the day, or the person that's automating all this and making sure that the prospective customer gets touched immediately with an email, a text, a phone call, or all the above. That's that speed to lead that really, really helps. You can also, get this stuff going to your calendar as well. That's really helpful. Really, you're just trying to keep these opportunities moving through your sales pipeline, keeping that momentum intact, because we all know how leads can go silent and you never get to talk to them, things like that, especially using Angie's List, Howls and those. If you're not the first person answering that lead inquiry that you got, that email, that reminder you got, you're probably going to lose that opportunity. And then here's another example of that build out, of that smart scheduling build out. We started with that trigger event that initiated the whole workflow to begin with. And now you're filling in the details with the email. So now you're customizing these emails that you have in this workflow. You can use templates, you can customize them, you can have different workflows that have different emails in them based on where they came from. If a lead came from Facebook versus a lead that came from the website, form fill, you want to say something different. Hey, I saw that you just saw us on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. You know, you don't want to say that same thing for someone that just filled out a website form fill, right, on your website. So now you want to address that. So you can have separate workflows. They're all pretty much the same, but they're each going to say a little something different. And these emails can also fill in appointment details, tokenizing things to where, it puts in the day, time zone, and things like that, so that when you have that appointment set. And then once you get all that defined, you just add that email template into your workflow. And then, like those screenshots I showed you earlier, you can visualize that whole workflow step by step, and then see, if you see anything amiss with it. And then, of course, make sure you run that through several times to make sure everything's going where it's supposed to be going. All the reminders are going where they're supposed to be going. Use someone else in your office's email so that you have you as the sender, the owner of the company, and then someone else is and in that way you can see on both sides, is everyone getting what they're supposed to be getting. So, like I said, most of you probably already have a lot of experience doing this. But if you're not, you really need to get on board with sales automation. Where sales automation is not going back, or we're not going back to horse and buggies anymore. And so, try to bring this into your business to move your business forward. It's going to save you an immense amount of time. And most importantly, it really is going to prevent you from missing any of those steps or any of that follow up that you used to count on remembering on your own. The key is your follow ups when it comes to trying to close more opportunities. And you don't want to rely on memory to do that. You've already got enough things to think about, right, that you're trying to juggle in your brain every day. You don't need to memorize who and when to follow up with every single day of the week. Let's jump into some marketing now, some specific marketing things that AI can support you in just as much as it supports you in sales. By using AI in marketing, it's going to help you nurture those leads automatically. It's going to help you with messaging and keeping that aligned across all your different channels. And so one of those things that we talked about is AI content generation. Speeding up your blog, speeding up your social media post, helping you with ad copy creation, whether you're running Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that. AI is going to speed up all this across all your platforms, and it's also going to help you reduce bottlenecks in your own team. You having writer's block, just time inefficiency, just can't get to it. But in the end, humans will still approve and refine everything. I've mentioned that several times, so don't ever lose sight of that. And then personalization at scale. You can have tailored emails and landing pages that are going to help you increase engagement and help you increase those conversion rates. It's going to feel custom, but it's also got automation built in. And so what that translates into is just better engagement without manual segmentation. You're not doing everything manually, segmenting everything across every idea you have for marketing into different segments. AI is going to take over some of that for you. And it's also going to help you with campaign optimization. So AI can monitor your ad campaigns in real time. You can have it analyze your dashboards. You can, in Google's bidding platform, it's adjusting bids and targeting for maximum ROI for you. That's going to, equate into less wasted ad spend. And we all like better return on investment in the end, right? So there's a lot that it can do in terms of helping you optimize and just analyze patterns and trends in your campaigns. Here's an example of AI content generation through ChatGPT. You've already seen ChatGPT in action, but this is just another example of a specific prompt. In this case, a topic around builders and roofers working together in new construction type of services. And so it just gives you an idea to kind of think outside the box a little bit. How can roofers and workers work together and try to build those relationships and tighten in timelines, things like that. Now you can generate a blog post on it. It just gives you more content to put out there instead of the same old content. I write a blog post about kitchen remodeling, or what's the average cost of a kitchen remodel. You can only write things like that so many times. So now you want to think about maybe some out of the box type of topics. And here's an example of personalization at scale using ChatGPT. In this case, we're looking for guidance on running ads on Facebook and then generating a landing page that includes a headline, a subheadline, a call or action or two, maybe some visual suggestions with images or social proof that you can incorporate into that landing page. And so, this is just giving you all the ideas. This isn't the designer like I showed you earlier. This is just giving you ideas for how you can construct that page, what it will look like, and then you put that into a design tool and actually, have it design it from there. But it just kind of shows you there really is no limit to what you can do with AI. And at least, you're getting some guidance, getting you started on some of these topics. And then here is a video example of Google Ads in terms of bidding and best practices with Google's AI. I'm just going to play this because it has a voice overlay, and it's going to help you understand smart bidding a little bit more, which is what Google's known for. It's all a bidding process. It's an auction. Whoever's bidding more is really the one winning the deals.
Smart bidding refers to bid strategies that optimize for conversion or conversion value using Google's AI to leverage a wide array of signals to make accurate predictions at auction time. You can use smart bidding with any of these bid strategies. Maximize conversions with target CPA, maximize conversion value, or maximize conversion value with target return on ad spend, target ROAS. Here are some best practices that can boost your campaign performance and help save time. Pick the right smart bidding strategy based on your goals. This enabled smart bidding to adjust bids based on a value a conversion is likely to generate. The smart bidding strategy that works best for you will depend on your situation. Use maximize conversion value with a target ROAS when you want to maximize your value within a specific target return on ad spend. This can help you capture more opportunities to maximize conversion value within your efficiency target. Use maximize conversion value without a target if your goal is to drive as much value as possible within a set budget. Pick the right conversion goals to bid to and assess performance. When setting up your bid strategy, ensure you have conversion tracking enabled. If you're using value-based bidding, be sure to choose conversion goals that you're able to confidently assign meaningful values to. Ideally, these actions would also have relatively short conversion delays. You'll want to consider conversion delay when trying to assess your campaign performance. One simple way to evaluate performance is using the Bid Strategy Report, where you can view your average performance against your average target. Be sure to look at a lengthier time frame for statistically significant data. You can also view explanations for performance fluctuations.
So as you can see, Google's AI is handling most of the heavy lifting here. It's giving you tons of guidance, tons of suggestions. There's a lot that you can really glean from that. And Google has all kinds of help articles and a community forum as well. But that just shows you how AI is really built into Google's platforms now in every way, shape, and form. Even their Google Search Console has AI built into it now, and they're rolling out more and more features there as well. So let's touch on sales follow-up now. This is really where most revenue is won or lost. If your follow-up isn't fast and consistent, someone else is winning that job. If you're not answering your phone, you're probably already losing half of the opportunities. Those people, they just go back into Google search results and find someone else to call. They may circle back around to you. You may be lucky enough to get them on the phone again, or you may never have a conversation with them again. So that initial touch, that incoming call, and how you handle it is important, but just as important as your sales follow-up processes. Sales follow-up really determines outcomes. And this is where most remodelers that I see, this is where you leak the most amount of revenue. Let's talk about why you're leaking that revenue, why sales follow-up matters more than actual lead volume. Most businesses don't have a lead problem. They have a follow-up problem. More leads won't fix weak follow-up. Those missed follow-ups show up as invisible losses. And although this could be a major problem in your business, even worse is that you may not even realize where this leakage actually is occurring. Industry data consistently shows the majority of leads are never contacted more than once. So I want you to think about that while you're on this webinar. Do you follow up more than once? And if you don't, then look in the mirror and say, I'm changing tomorrow. Don't keep doing that. You got to have consistent follow-up. Also, response time can dramatically affect close rates. We're taught in the world of marketing, follow-up needs to be within 5 minutes. That's just kind of the rule of thumb. Heed that advice or don't at your own peril. But the quicker you can follow up, at least an automated follow up, an email or a text that goes out, it's going to definitely benefit you more. And then most deals, most opportunities are won between the fifth and the eighth follow-up, not the first. This is not the one call close that we saw in the Wolf of Wall Street movie, which, by the way, is a great movie. Teach you a little bit about sales as well. But 5 to 8 follow-ups is typically what it takes. And I've even seen studies out there and articles, gurus out there professing that it takes between 12 and 21 follow-ups. So that's sales. I know you've got a great company, you've got a great reputation, you're experts at your craft, you've been around for 30, 40 years. It still doesn't mean that you're so good and so well recognized as a brand that you don't need to have good follow-up. That follow-up is not about hounding somebody. Again, when we talked about giving value, white papers, blog posts, sharing portfolio and new projects with them, sharing a video testimonial, things like that. And so what really happens in reality is typically leads come in after hours. At that time, follow-up is delayed, inconsistent, or worse, it's non-existent. And then that messaging can be very generic or really disconnected from the buyer's intent. So, the bottom line is you really, every missed or call or weak follow-up in general is essentially revenue left on the table. And so that's one of the biggest areas of leakage for your revenue, for not growing as fast or as much as you want to. And the real reason follow-up breaks down, sales follow-up doesn't fail because teams are lazy. You guys got good teams, I know that. It fails because it's manual, it's repetitive work, and it's really impossible to scale from a human scale. You just can't have enough people doing it, or they're doing it, but then they don't have anything else to do the rest of the day. So it doesn't make sense for you to hire that person. Common issues that you're probably facing in your own business here. Sales reps that rely on memory instead of reminders. They don't have those workflows set up. They're just thinking about, who do I need to follow up with? or having one size fits all messaging for very different buyers for different services that you don't have, really analyzing where that lead's coming from and having a different workflow, different messaging for them. Maybe no clear prioritization between the hot, the warm, and the cold leads, that lead scoring I talked to you about. Or, that data exists in your CRM, but you're not actually using it. Maybe you don't even know how to use it. You don't know how to put that information to use, or you just haven't had time to really jump into it. And so the result is it becomes automation without personalization, and that personalization without consistency. And so if we really, face the truth here, humans aren't built for perfect consistency. That's just not what we're built for. But AI is, and that's why you should be using it more so. And so, AI powered follow up, it's not really a set it and forget it. And this is, really critical to understand. Effective follow up should move through three stages essentially. So you've got your follow up, which establishes that contact with the prospective customer. And then you've got that lead nurture step. This is where you're building trust with the customer. You're just nurturing them along, sending them value, education, things like that. That's building trust, right? And then the stage of asking questions, them asking questions of you asking questions back about their vision and where they want to take this project. That's going to help you create momentum. If you're not following these three steps in some form, when this doesn't happen, that's where your sales are going to stall out for you. And so let's talk about that follow-up stage, establishing contact. This is about speed and relevance. Most remodelers typically are just focused on, one or two generic messages, same message for every lead, no awareness of intent or timing. And this is where AI can really help because it's automated. It doesn't rely on when you see the incoming message or when you decide to reply to it. It's all happening in automated fashion because you've set that up in your CRM, in your workflows. And then lead nurture. This is, about building more context around the prospective customer and their project, and around building more trust as well. Once that contact is established, the goal then shifts. Now you're either talking about missing out on that lead opportunity completely, or maybe you're disconnected from what the lead actually cares about if you haven't really addressed this stage. In this stage, this is where AI can help keep those prospective customers warm. You're educating them at this point. You're not pressuring them, and you're building trust. And, as we all know, trust just seems to compound over time. And then that last stage of asking questions and trying to create more momentum. Questions are what really move that opportunity for you. It really moves it forward. But you want to make sure that your questions aren't happening too late. You want to make sure that they are happening manually, that you're getting some of those questions out there. And then, you want to be, make sure that you just not skipping this step altogether. Without that progression, your sales team, whether that's you or your team, you're either going to be pushing too hard too soon, or the converse, you're waiting too long to ask these questions, and that's where you end up losing some momentum. So AI can really help you here with asking the right questions, helping you draft those email communications. And this is where your conversations actually become a little more intentional. And so, where does AI change the game? AI allows you to move from reactive follow up to intelligent, proactive follow up. When set up correctly, AI can, help you with responses instantly that go to new leads 24/7. To lead, help you adjust your messaging in real time based on form responses, the intent of that inbound lead, and the urgency of that inbound lead. We get leads sometimes like, oh, I need help with the next 3 months, but then we get inbound leads that say, I need help today, call me now. If you're not getting that lead and you're not calling them quickly, he's most likely moved on to someone else. AI can help you guide prospects to the next best action too, to booking a call, to handling some of the objections or FAQs they have, or just nurturing that lead along. What you're trying to do is maintain consistent follow-up without all the human manual effort that you would have to put into it. So this isn't about replacing your salespeople. It's about giving them leverage. That's the consistency that will help you scale more effortlessly. And then a simple follow-up framework. This is really important. The first thing you need to do is capture intent. Why are they reaching out? And how soon are they looking to move forward? Those are the questions that you really want to be finding out right from the start so you understand where you're at, where you stand with them. And then you want to be able to classify that lead opportunity. Is it hot? Is it an urgent lead? They're ready to talk now, or maybe they're just a warm lead. They're just researching. They need some education. They need some education on the fact that construction costs have skyrocketed, and that $25,000 kitchen they thought they were going to do now is going to be $50,000. And it's not because you're overpriced. It's because all of the building costs have went up, and the whole supply chain issue and tariffs and anything else that you want to educate them on. And so you got to make sure that you're educating them, because I know a lot of remodelers I've talked to, they're just like, oh, no, they didn't have a budget. No, they didn't have a budget. It's like, well, did you educate them on where that budget has went in the last 3-4 years? And usually the answer is no. So education really comes in handy here and can extend some conversations for you. And then you have those cold leads that you just kind of got to nurture them long term, just sending those case studies, those portfolio photos, reviews, and things, social proof, things that you're doing. They're not ready to move forward, but at some point, 6 months, a year, even 2 years down the road, they're going to reach out to you because you've stayed in contact with them and you've been sending them an email every 3 or 4 weeks consistently with value and education versus your competitors who just aren't doing this. And then you also want to trigger the right follow-up, immediate booking opportunities, prompts, for those hot lead opportunities, giving them a calendar, giving them a way to get onto your calendar or to make that call, anything that gets that thing going quickly. Like I said, those educational sequences for the warmer leads, and then just light touch, no pressure, infrequent nurture for those colder leads. Not too infrequent. I don't mean like an email every 3 or 6 months. They're not going to really remember you. One a month is generally good in that regard. And then lastly, escalating to human sales. AI handles that speed and consistency, but now your sales team needs to handle that conversation and get that closing moving forward. And so, when it comes to marketing online, the game has definitely changed. We're adapting with AI just as much as you're adapting with it. But you see now that it's started, AI is starting to feature prominently in search results, as well as more and more people using AI platforms to do searches versus, going to Google to do those searches. So I just want to share with you, how really good AI built into your marketing processes, adding on as part of your SEO strategy can really help you stand out. Now, here's an example of one of our NARI clients showing up at the top of a Google search based on the AI overviews that you're seeing featured so prominently in all the top of the Google search pages. And then here's our client showing up as well with their Google profile just kind of popping up. It's almost like instead of that Maps 3-pack, they've got their own little 1-pack here. They're the only company showing. And so, not only do they show up with that kind of Google business profile snippet, but they've also got the AI overview above it. And so without a doubt, this has helped them continue growing revenue. In fact, we started, really jumping on this AI thing pretty early. And after achieving this AI search result for them at the end of last year, along with all the other SEO things that we're doing that are creating success. But this particular client, I can tell you, hit over 2,800% ROI in last month alone, compared to the marketing spend they put in, compared to all the opportunities that they were able to close. 2,850% ROI just in January alone. And so that's where this content creation, and lots of it, I'll say, is very effective in showing how AI platforms, who should be the featured company, and hopefully it's your company, right? That's the goal we're shooting for. Now here's another example of a client topping ChatGPT, just giving this client, showing them as kind of like the winning lottery result. Someone, we put this into ChatGPT and it said, well, here, it's this client of ours. Remember what I said about content creation too. Everything that AI comes up with here, and whenever they choose your company versus one of your competitors, For the most part, it just comes from loads of content that we're pushing out and putting on various websites everywhere around the internet, not just on your own site. And it's also the way you structure your content. Think about what it wants to ask. Think about FAQs. So when you write your content, think in terms of FAQs and what questions can you be answering in your content. That's a real insider tip there. That's how you can feature more prominently in AI because you're writing in your content the things that people are asking the AI for. So it's kind of a natural segue for you here. And then here's that same company topping on Gemini as well. So they're in two of the biggest platforms out there, and I mean that's really what equates to winning the AI search game. Not only you featured it as the number one and only company in ChatGPT, and now you're on Google's Gemini AI platform. Again, same thing, lots of good content to pull from and showcase their expertise, their experience, their services, just kind of why they're the recommended company of choice. And what I'll say is, results like these also build credibility and result in more phone calls, higher close rates, because you're just building more authority and more credibility over time. And one caveat I want to mention too here is don't get too focused on just the AI results at the expense of sacrificing your SEO strategy on Google. Every now and then I hear someone say, oh, SEO is dead, or Bob, is SEO dead? I keep hearing that. And I always laugh. I find it, pretty humorous because I've been hearing that for 10 years now. Not only has Google searches increased from about 8.5 billion daily searches to currently almost 14 billion daily searches now. That's almost double. But Google also receives 200 search queries than ChatGPT. That's a very, very current stat. In other words, Google is still 210 times more popular than ChatGPT. 210x is a big force multiplier when it comes to generating more calls for your business. So keep that in mind. In an ideal world, you focus on both Google search and SEO, as well as AI, not to mention if you're doing pay-per-click or social media, things like that. But that's really the key. And what I like to call the ubiquity principle. I just made that up. But it's really about showing up in as many places as possible, showing up on Google Maps, Google local service ads, Google pay-per-click, your social media channels, as well as all those new AI platforms that are starting to gain popularity as well. And so potential challenges and how to overcome them with AI. Like any new tool, AI comes with questions, but the challenges are manageable and easier to overcome than most people expect. And so some of the common fears, AI is going to replace my job or replace someone's job. Or, people have mentioned data privacy and security with AI. We've talked about that on the last webinar using private paid accounts, graying out, blurring out anything that's sensitive there. And then also, the other common fear is the learning curve for your staff. Not everyone is really embracing new learning, old dog, new tricks, something about that. But just remember, AI is a tool. It's not a replacement. It handles repetitive tasks so that your team can focus on more of the high value work. And so some tips for smoother adoption, getting your team involved. Start with a single task. Maybe it's just email automation rather than trying to overhaul all of your processes at the same time. Also, train your staff with live demos or short tutorials. Don't just, hey, go learn AI and just send them off on their own. Try to incorporate these into trainings for your company. I know some of you guys do trainings. You have a whiteboard in your office and you conduct trainings. Incorporate this into your company culture. Make it more fun. And I guarantee you people will be more likely to get on board. And then, make sure you're collecting feedback, hearing what people are thinking about this. Do they like it? Do they not like it? Is it hard? Is it easy? And then, of course, celebrate those wins. Whether you save some time, to be able to say, hey, I tried this AI and holy cow, I saved an hour last week. An hour, multiplied by 52 weeks, every day of the week. We're talking significant savings. So, or maybe a win is higher engagement. Maybe it's just better lead conversion. So make sure you're celebrating that. Don't just do it and not celebrate anything, not be appreciative of the team that the work that your team is putting in. And so here's some action steps to get started. First, you want to identify 1 to 2 repetitive tasks that you can automate this week. An email follow-up, maybe a social post generation, where you can say, hey, generate 5 social posts based around this topic. Just something simple like that. Or maybe it's that lead scoring system that you incorporate into your CRM. And then, just try a free AI tool. ChatGPT, it's great for content generation. Blog posts are a great example. I was just telling Plemena about ChatGPT has this thing now where you can give it who you are and it will scour the entire internet for you and then create a caricature cartoon type of image. And I did it. I was going to post it later today, but on social media, I did it. And it's spot on. Everything about my life that it can find was right there in that one little picture, from being a Buckeyes fan to loving my dogs and loving the outdoors and all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool. And it's fun. That's something that you can get on board with because it's fun. It's not work, right? You can also use like HubSpot. They've got AI built into their CRM. So you can, practice some of that lead scoring, maybe practice your follow-up processes again. Builder Trend, Job Tread, many others out there that do this. MailChimp and Constant Contact email platforms specifically. And then Canva, they have free AI tools for generating social media visuals and just kind of helping you become more creative in your ad or social media copy. And then tracking results, track that time saved per week, leads generated or qualified, and just focus on improvements, focus on engagement, emails, trying to, look at the engagement metrics for emails or even your ad engagement metrics. Just trying to focus on, better lead quality and how you can get better leads coming in based on the things you're seeing on the engagement front. AI in sales and marketing isn't about replacing people. It's about empowering teams to work smarter, to personalize their outreach, and to respond faster. So even small steps like automating lead follow-ups or generating social content can really have a huge impact on your company's growth and client satisfaction. Just to recap, AI in design sells the vision, AI in operations protects your profit, but AI in sales and marketing is what's going to help fuel your growth. So open it up for questions. I think, Pamela, since we got some questions that have come in, we've got some time for.
Thank you, Bob. I definitely learned a lot from this session of the webinar, so I'm going to be sharing that with some of my colleagues as well. We do have a few questions, and obviously, for those of you that still have questions remaining, make sure to pop them in the Q&A portion. It's at the bottom of your screen. It's a little icon that has a question mark on it, so feel free to ask your questions there. Somebody asked, what's the name of the landing page builder? Is there one you would recommend that is not a CRM system?
I don't have, I don't have a recommendation for just a landing page builder. We use Go High Level for our landing page builder. It is a CRM, so that's probably not what you're looking for. I haven't used others, and so I wouldn't have a recommendation. But you can go into Google and say free landing page builder, and then look at some of those results. Top 5 results are going to give you some really good companies there. You can also go into ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or Gemini or whatever tool is your favorite for AI chat, and just ask them to say, what would be the best landing page builder for my company? I'm a this type of remodeler. I offer these type of services, and I want to build simple landing pages that include this, this, and this. Again, a better prompt will give you a better result. And then it will give you, just say, give me the 3 top landing page builders for all those things you put in about you and your company. And then it will give you the 3 best results. And it's going to do that based on knowing Google Trends, who clicks on more, just who's got more buzz around their product. So probably, a better result from the AI chat result than just going straight to Google. But then you can also compare them side by side and be like, chat said this, Google says this, and here's the crossover. This company right here. But there's so many. I mean, they're just oodles and oodles. So it'd be remiss for me to recommend tools that I don't use in terms of landing page builders.
Thanks, Bob. And then Amy asks, my experience with ChatGPT has been more me entering my draft and asking it to check for clarity, professionalism, etc. If I ask AI or ChatGPT to start a draft of something, does it know copyright laws? So how do I know that it's not just copying one that already exists? And does it know when to include references, sources, etc.? Or is that one of the inputs you have to ask it to address?
Yeah, that's a good question. It knows copyright laws, so it's not going to give you plagiarized content. That would blow up AI really, really quickly. So it should not be giving you that. You can, if you want to be 100% sure, you can run your content through a plagiarism checker. So again, just search Google or AI and say, give me the top three plagiarism checkers that are free to use online, and you just upload your draft, your content, and then it says, nope, this isn't found anywhere. Because we do that with websites. When we bring a new client on, we'll run their website through a plagiarism checker just as a almost as a fun exercise. We're going to rewrite all the content anyways, and we find out that this website's got plagiarized content on it, stolen from another website somewhere in another part of the country. So plagiarism checkers are really good. In terms of the second part of the question, yeah, you would have to ask it to say supply references, footnotes, things like that. You got to be very specific on that. Again, the more you want, the more you have to ask it. And it sounds like it might be a lot of work, but it's a heck of a lot easier than writing that whole draft yourself, like 1, 2 page article. It's going to spit it out in 10 seconds. And if you just, it's going to take you maybe an hour or 2 or 3 hours, who knows, to write that. But if you just take 5 or 10 minutes, which is not really that much time, you're going to get the best result. And when I use any of the AI tools, I go back and forth. This thing would be 20 pages long by the time I'm done with it. Cause I'm like, well, refine this point and you forgot this. And, I just keep going back and forth with it. And I named my chat Gandalf, and so it's just fun to have a chat with Gandalf, and he's always given me these wizard-like references and stuff. Like, was I a smart enough wizard for you on this aspect? So it just makes it more fun. But yeah, the more you put in, the more it will give you out for sure.
Thank you, Bob. And we've got one last one, at least for now. We'll see if anything comes in while you're answering it. But do you recommend when we are using ChatGPT for help with content, we leave it as public versus private? Like, for instance, when we're looking for help with our contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. Private, like I've mentioned before, you want to make sure that you're using a paid private account. That's going to more guarantee, I use air quotes around that, that information isn't getting out there. If you just go to ChatGPT, no account, you just plug something in, that information can get out there. Most likely, it's not going to, but your AI model, it now has that information to use. Just think of you just added that question, that query, that page to the library, and now anyone can come to the library and check it out. It doesn't do that in a paid private account. So I always recommend that. And then again, just blur out anything. If you upload your contract, you don't want it out there, but you also don't want to pay for an account. Well, just, gray out or delete, the company, or just, make a mock draft of that contract. And instead of your company, just put company A, and then it will just repeat company A throughout. And so your contract could get out there. You're probably never going to see it. It's never going to have any ramifications. And then most importantly, your name is not on it, has no idea where that contract came from. And AI is not, trying to take one piece and put it over here. Like it assimilates all this information that it's gathered from the entire world, the entire internet. So it never is going to really take something verbatim. It's going to say, hey, I learned from this contract. I learned from this one. I learned from all 2 million of these contracts that have been uploaded. And now here's my best result. So you're never really going to see that apples to apples where it just took your contract and gave it to someone else as a result, because it's just got so much in its library, its archive, basically.
Thanks, Bob. One more question did come in where you were answering the last one. Carl asks, what system are you using to auto respond to leads, nurturing emails, sending texts, etc.? Do you have to cancel the AI from sending if the lead responds?
Yep. So, Carl, we use Go High Level as our CRM. And so everything that comes into us runs through Go High Level. So if it's a Facebook lead, it triggers a workflow in Go High Level. If it's a Google lead, it triggers a different workflow in Go High Level. It's a website form coming into our website. It triggers a different workflow. If someone just goes straight to our website and clicks on this discovery call link, that will trigger a different workflow. If someone says, hey, I don't want to jump on a call, I'm ready to jump into Zoom and really get to this, it's going to trigger another workflow. So everything, every action that anyone could take that wants to interact with us will trigger a workflow. Even a call, if I miss a call because I'm in a meeting, there's another whole workflow for that. So you just have to make all these different workflows. A lot of them can be copied and then you just change out this thing here or that thing there, but it's all based on trigger events, and then what that trigger event is, it determines which workflow that needs to take place at that time. So, and with all of those, you can manually go in and you can see where they're at. You can see a little bubble that says, maybe a 3, and that means 3 people are in this stage. And then down here, there's a little bubble that says one person's down this stage. And then you can click on that to see who those people are. You can pause them. You can pause all of them at once. You can pause one at a time. If one person, just is ready to go, they're ready to move forward, and you just don't want to mess anything up with any kind of mixed messaging or wonky emails going out, you can just take them out of the workflow altogether. You can add them back in later. You can put them in a different workflow. Like I said, you can pause them. So that way, you do have to pay attention a little bit there. But the nice thing is that you can pause or remove them from a workflow anytime you need to, based on their actions they're taking. Most I'll say too, most CRMs should do that. Most of the bigger CRMs, HubSpot and Zoho and Buildertrend, JobChat, they should all handle that, the same way. Salesforce, of course. If you can't do that in a CRM, you're probably not going to be around in business for very long as a CRM.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. This concludes our 3-part, 4.5-hour series on all things AI, from design to operations to marketing. I really want to thank Bob for all the time he has dedicated putting together these presentations and giving you his expertise throughout these sessions. We really appreciate his dedication to education and to helping NARI members. So thank you very much, Bob. And I want to thank our attendees for sticking with us for 4.5 hours and coming back every week. I did pop the recording link in the chat earlier. We have a whole on-demand course that's going to include all 3 of the recordings for this session. So I'm going to pop it in here again, just in case you don't have it already. And before we leave, I think I want to give Bob an opportunity to also have any parting words after this adventure, this 3-week adventure.
Yeah, thank you, Pullman. I appreciate it. First, I just want to thank NARI for allowing me to share this education with everyone. I love to educate, and I really feel blessed with the opportunity. NARI is such a great organization. Now I know why there's so many members in it. Just want to say thank you to everyone else who joined this series. My goal with this series was to kind of provide more clarity over hype. And hopefully you can walk away with a few ideas that you can actually use that fits your business. Over these 3 sessions, we looked at AI from 3 different angles: how projects are designed, how they're executed, how the growth actually happens through that sales and marketing component. And so if there's one takeaway, it's this: AI isn't about replacing experience. It's about removing friction, tightening decision making, and giving good operators more leverage. The remodelers and designers, builders who win with AI won't be the ones chasing every new tool. They'll be the ones who adopt thoughtfully, start small, and apply it where it matters most in their business. So again, I just want to thank NARI and everyone who joined. Thank you for your time, your questions, and the engagement and throughout the series. I really appreciate it.